Welcome to the deep dive. Our job today, well, it's to take some really complex source material and pull out the key truths, the stuff you need to know, without you having to wade through it all yourself.
And today, we're diving into something pretty unique. It's a firsthand account from a formerly very high-profile political figure about his time inside the Federal Bureau of Prisons, specifically FCI Fairton down in South Jersey.
Yeah, and what struck me reading this is the sheer contradiction. I mean, the source himself called it Camp Cupcake sometimes, which sounds almost easy, right?
Right, but then in the same breath, he describes it as, well, filthy, corrupt, violent, and intensely racially segregated. It's a bizarre mix.
Exactly. So our goal here is to look at what this insider view reveals about the whole system.
Yeah, because if someone with, connections experiences this kind of neglect, what does that tell us about what the average incarcerated person is facing? That's the real question we're unpacking.
Okay, let's set the scene first. The Ferriton Satellite Camp. What was it actually like? The physical space.
Okay, so picture a warehouse. Basically, huge open dormitories, just rows of bunk beds, metal lockers, or little cubbies for your stuff. Pretty basic.
And this is the minimum security part.
Yes, but the key thing, the real tension point, is that it's right across the street from the medium security facility. And that place, according to the source, was, let's just say, very violent. Housing murderers, ex-gang members, you name it.
Right. And I thought these camps were supposed to be, like, white-collar crime places.
Yeah.
Tax evasion, that kind of thing.
That was the old idea, yeah. But the source points out a big shift, especially under sentencing reforms during the Obama years.
How so?
Well, people serving longer sentences, maybe for drug offenses or even former gang members, they could earn credits, reduce their sort of custody points,
Okay.
and end up getting transferred down to these minimum security camps near the end of their sentences. So the source called it, kind of jokingly, off-white collar.
So you've got this mix. You mentioned he met some of Bob Menendez's co-defendants, these really wealthy guys,
Yeah, the gold collar types, as he put it.
mixed in with people who'd come down from much tougher prison environments. How did that actually play out day to day? Did it cause friction?
Oh, absolutely. Big time. It led to violence and really strange segregation. The most glaring example, the cafeteria TVs.
The TVs.
Get this. 5 TVs, each controlled by a different racial group. There was the black TV, the white TV, the Hispanic TV, a sports TV, and then one just called the CNN TV.
Seriously. Racially segregated remote controls.
Seriously. And it wasn't just about what show you wanted to watch. Touching the wrong remote, the one designated for another race, the source said you could literally get stabbed with a shank for that.
Wow. That's intense. Just for a TV remote.
It really shows you the kind of underlying tension and, frankly, the inmate-enforced racism that permeated the place.
Okay, moving from that cultural environment to the physical one.
Yeah.
Source details some pretty horrific health and safety conditions. Let's talk about hygiene, the food.
Yeah, it sounds, just appalling. The dorms apparently had 0 ventilation. He described seeing black mold, like literally dangling from the ceiling in patches. Like cotton bubbles of black mold, he said. And then add outbreaks of ringworm and listeria in the bathrooms. Just a nightmare scenario for public health.
And the sorts actually worked in the kitchen for a while, right? He thought it'd be a natural fit.
He did, but what he found there sounds just as bad, if not worse. He called it Russian roulette with canned goods.
Meaning?
Meaning tons of expired food. He gave the specific example. Chicken patties that had expired in 2024 were still being served well into 2025.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and hygiene standards for food prep, basically non-existent.
That detail about the gloves really stuck with me.
Right. They gave inmates gloves instead of soap and water for hand washing. But then, get this, they'd reprimand people for changing their gloves too often.
What? So keep the dirty gloves on.
Exactly. He saw guys blow their nose into a paper towel and then, wearing the same gloves, go right back to mixing spices into ground beef.
That's disgusting. And dangerous.
Totally. It sounds like he actually tried to, fight against this from the inside, tried to bring some basic standards.
Yeah, he mentioned peeling potatoes himself, making sure vegetables got washed properly. He wasn't just cooking. He was trying to fix a broken system, at least in his little corner.
And he even started making unauthorized desserts, using milk that was about to expire to make things like New York-style rice pudding and flan.
Sort of club-fed upgrades, but using stuff they were going to throw out anyway.
Yeah.
Trying to boost morale, I guess.
Exactly. Just trying to bring a tiny bit of decency, maybe. But that kind of proactive effort, well, it didn't seem to impress the administration much.
No, he paints a pretty damning picture of the leadership. He said, like 80% of the guards were decent, hardworking folks, but the administration, led by the warden, Lynn Kelly, not so much.
Yeah, the priorities seemed completely skewed. He talked about the warden allegedly refusing a, what was it, $4,000 request to clean the heating ducts.
Right, ducks everyone's breathing air from.
Ducts likely filled with mold and who knows what else. But at the same time, she supposedly found $7,000 in the budget to buy a massive, like 85-inch QLED TV for her own office.
Wait, seriously, a $7,000 TV for her office, but no money for clean air for the inmates.
That's the story she tells. It's
Yeah.
just, it beggars belief, doesn't it? That kind of decision making.
It really does.
Yeah.
Is that just one bad apple, or is it something systemic? Why would it be so, well, backwards?
Well, it's funny you say backwards. Apparently, the corrections officers themselves have a nickname for the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons.
Oh, yeah.
They call it backwards on purpose.
Backwards on purpose.
Yeah. Referencing things like these completely nonsensical inmate transfers, sending someone from Jersey to Kentucky, then up to Wisconsin, then back to Jersey again, just wasting time, money, disrupting lives for no logical reason.
Which kind of leads us to the next point, right?
Yeah.
Moving beyond just incompetence to the underlying structure, the source had this realization that maybe it is backwards on purpose because the whole system isn't really run for rehabilitation. It's run like a business.
Exactly. A massive business, profiting private contractors. You've got, what, around 250,000 people in federal custody? That's a huge guaranteed market if you can lock down the supply contracts.
And he identified specific companies, didn't he? Monopolies controlling everything.
He did. Two main ones stood out. First, there's the Bob Barker line, not the game show host, obviously.
Right.
This company apparently has a multi-billion-dollar federal contract for all the essential stuff. The jumpsuits, the towels, curtains, basic toiletries, sheets, everything non-consumable, basically.
So they control the infrastructure goods. What about day-to-day purchases, commissary items?
That's the other one he named, Kefi. That's the brand for all the stuff inmates buy with money from their accounts, coffee, maybe better toilet paper, snacks, you know.
And the source mentioned, based on what he heard inside, that Kefi supposedly has ties back to the Bush family. We should note, as impartial reporters, that's the claim from the source, reflecting inmate perception.
Right. And regardless of specific political connections, the bigger point he makes is stark. When you have these huge guaranteed contracts, these companies need the prisons to stay full. Their entire business model depends on it.
So keeping people incarcerated isn't just a side effect of crime policy.
It becomes the economic incentive. The profit motive kind of crowds out any real focus on rehabilitation or, reducing the prison population. People become inventory.
Which is a pretty chilling thought. And that brings us to probably the darkest part of his account, his time in solitary confinement, the SHU.
Yeah, 41 days. And crucially, it wasn't because he broke a rule. The warden apparently put him there for protective custody against some threat they didn't even seem to think was credible. It was just the easiest administrative option.
And the conditions.
Designed to break you, it sounds like. A tiny 6x9 cell, 3 showers a week, your phone and email privileges gone, just one 15-minute call allowed every 30 days.
The hygiene failures continued even there, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, horrifically. He described being issued recycled underwear, tidy whities that literally had skid marks and pubic hair from whoever wore them before.
Oh, God, that's inhumane.
And the water. He said he had to drink water from the top part of the toilet, and it left black stuff, sediment, in the bottom of his cup.
It's just cruelty piled on top of neglect. And the medical aspect you mentioned earlier came back here, too, right?
Yes, critically. They took him off Adderall, which he'd apparently been prescribed for over 20 years. Cold turkey. Just stopped it.
Cold turkey. After 22 years, what did they replace it with?
A mix of antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. He described it as a forced chemical withdrawal that led to a complete mental breakdown.
He actually wrote suicide notes.
He said he wrote 3. That's the level of despair we're talking about. Systematically induced, it's hard to even fathom.
How did he cope? How do you survive 41 days of that?
Reading. He just devoured books. Said he read 26 books in those 41 days.
Wow.
Yeah, including some massive 1,000-page fantasy novel he finished in just 2 days. Just anything to escape that cell mentally.
But even that wasn't safe from the casual cruelty of the place.
No. He mentioned this bizarre, awful detail. Other inmates, maybe long-term guys in the general population who processed the library books, they would rip out the first and last chapters, just tear them out.
Why?
and write F you inside. Just
Yeah.
pure nihilism, maybe. Spite. Destroying even that tiniest scope for someone else.
It really speaks to the soul-crushing nature of the environment. And on top of everything else, they denied him religious items too.
Yeah, he's Catholic, and he asked for a Catholic Bible or a rosary while he was in the SHU. They refused. Denied even that small comfort.
So from that absolute low point, the story takes this incredibly sharp turn, a spiritual turnaround.
It really does. He describes getting a visit from the priest on October 16th. He made a full confession, apparently took almost an hour, and he said he felt this huge sense of peace
And
afterwards.
the next day,
The next morning, October 17th, he woke up feeling, in his words, an immense resolve. He was ready, he said, to serve out his full 7-year sentence with dignity, whatever it took.
and then, just hours later, the news hits. But not through official channels.
No, not at all. The system was so chaotic, the news actually broke on TV in the cafeteria first.
How did he find out?
The whole room just erupted, apparently, people shouting, and he looked up and saw the news sticker, the chyron, running across the bottom of MSNBC.
MSNBC.
Yeah, which happened to be playing on the designated black TV at that moment. The chyron announced President Trump had commuted his sentence. He found out from TV before the prison email system, which was monitored, even cleared the information.
That's unbelievable. Just hours after resolving to serve 7 years, he finds out he's going home from a TD screen in the middle of the cafeteria chaos.
Exactly. He was released late that night, around 11:30 p.m.
And his first acts as a free man.
An hour-long shower with real soap, shampoo, and a loofah. Things we take for granted.
And his first meal request? That said a lot, too.
Sushi. Because, as he put it, he needed a guarantee he was eating something barely dead after months of God knows what expired food in prison.
So, looking back at the whole ordeal, he doesn't just see it as trauma. He framed it differently.
Yeah, he actually called it a blessing and a wake-up call. He felt the suffering, as intense as it was, ultimately gave him clarity. It totally changed his perspective on what matters.
And that, I think, is the big takeaway for you listening to this. If someone with that level of public profile, with connections, can end up facing blatant racism, dangerous neglect, mold, filth, recycled underwear, medical malpractice leading to suicidal thoughts,
Then what are the conditions like for the average person? The person with no lawyer on speed dial, no public platform, it suggests the reality is probably far, far worse for many.
it really drives home the point the source made that pushing for prison reform isn't necessarily a political issue, left or right.
Right. He framed it as almost a moral, even a Christian position, based on the idea of fundamental human dignity, that how we treat people, even those who've done wrong, says something crucial about us.
And that ties into his final realization about wealth. Before prison, he said, he measured success by the usual things: expensive watches, fancy shoes, cars.
All the material stuff. But the experience completely flipped that. He came out saying true wealth is your family, your friends, your health, the things the system tried to strip away from him.
So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. In a world where sometimes institutions fail and where systems might even profit from misery, how do you measure your own wealth? What truly defines your worth? It's something this deep dive definitely makes you think about.